Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Shirani Janita Daniel, RCIC IRB consultant, and today I'll be taking you through the refugee claim process, what it entails, what to expect, what are some of the tips and tricks, and we'll also be going through what some questions you could have. What are some of the, I can't go very detailed about your personal case, but any general questions in regard to the process itself, we will be talking about it. Let's dive into the presentation. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen now so that you can follow along. Next slide, please. All right. So during the process of this webinar, you will be learning how you can make this claim process in Canada, what you can expect at each stage of the process, and what are some of the tips for interviews and hearings. And we'll have a short question and answer session at the end. We cannot interrupt this webinar, but what you can do is if you have questions, please put them in the chat box and I'll be able to answer a couple questions at the end of the session. Next slide, please. All right. So when you submit a refugee claim, what the decision-making member is seeing is whether you are a convention refugee or a person in need of protection. Now, a convention refugee is someone who faces persecution or risk to life because of their participation or because of them being in a particular race, a religion, a particular nationality, political opinion, or a member of a particular social group. Whereas, as per Section 97 of the IRPA, a person in need of protection faces a risk to life, cruel or unusual treatment or punishment, or danger of torture if returned to their country. Now, who can make a claim in Canada? Currently, to make a claim or a refugee claim in Canada, you have to be physically present in Canada. You can make that claim either at a port of entry, that is like an airport or land border, or inside Canada at an IRCC office. You cannot make any more claims from outside Canada, and you can also, or you cannot make a claim if you are inadmissible for any security reasons or because of any human right violations or criminality. Now, this is the overview of the entire refugee claim process, the different steps that are involved. We will be going through each of these in detail, so I'm not going to list these out for you. All right, the first step in the process is making a claim. This is very important, especially if you've gone through any inhuman treatment in your country, you've run from their fearing for your life, you've reached a port of entry, then you can make a claim right there. Whether it's an airport or a land border, you can claim asylum at any port of entry to Canada. There will be an officer, a CBSC officer, that is a Canadian Border Services Agency officer, who will listen to your story and determine whether it is eligible to be referred to the RPD. Now, if you're inside Canada, what happens is you can submit something called as a basis of claim. Now, remember, this BOC or basis of claim is your most important document in the refugee process. So you will be hearing about this document over and over again as we go through this presentation, but you have to remember that this is the most important document. If you're making a claim at the port of entry, you'll be given this document by the officer at the time when you're making your claim. And you have two options. You can either fill it, if you're able to fill your story in detail while you're there, you can fill and submit it to the officer, or you get 15 days from the day you make your claim until you can submit this basis of claim, and this has to be done online. Now, in case you're making your claim as a claimant inside Canada, that is at an IRCC office, then this entire application, like your personal particulars, your address history, personal history, family history, all of this should be done online. And this eligibility interview that is done by an officer will be done at a later date. And when you go for the eligibility interview, you'll have to carry a copy of your original passport, a copy of any police or court documents. If you have any evidence of persecution, you can take that, and the proof of entry, that is a copy of your visitor visa or whatever you have with you, you can take it along for the eligibility interview. Many times when you make a claim from inside Canada, they also ask you to complete medicals before you go for an eligibility interview. Now, what happens at an eligibility interview? It is conducted if you made your claim at the port of entry, like I said, by a CBSA officer. If you made it from inside Canada, it is done by an IRCC officer. And the officer listens to your story, not in detail like they would at a hearing, just a basic story to see whether your claim, you're eligible to be referred to the RPD. Now, remember, here the credibility of your claim is not assessed. They just check whether your claim is eligible to be referred to the RPD. And if accepted, they'll give you a confirmation of referral. An ID will be given to you as a claimant. It'll start with an MC or a VC, like there'll be two letters and a number, a hyphen, and another number. So that's how your claimant's number is. The L number that you get in the beginning is when you start your application online to submit your claim. All right. So there are two different numbers. Once your claim is referred to the RPD, you will get a number starting with two letters, a number, a hyphen, and then and some more numbers after that. Then, if you've not already done your medicals, then medical instructions will be given. Eligibility decision is given. And along with that, very importantly, you'll also get a work permit. So that work permit allows you to continue working in Canada while you're waiting for your hearing, a date on hearing, or your decision, or whatever. After the referral, like I said, if you've not already done your medical exam, you get to do your medicals. If you've not completed your basis of claim form. Now, let's talk a little bit about the basis of claim form. This is the most important form in your entire process. This is what some people call as a narrative. It has space for a little bit of your story, but if you have more, you want to give more information. There are a lot of other things that happened to you that led you to flee your country and seek asylum in Canada. Don't feel shy to add annexures to your basis of claim form. And also be very, very careful and remember what you've written in your basis of claim form. I always tell my clients it's wise to keep a copy of the form that you're submitting to the RPD, because at the time of the hearing, your BOC or your basis of claim form is the most important document that the member, that is the decision-making member, will go by. All the questions, everything that's done at your hearing will go based on your basis of claim form. If you are someone who's already submitted your basis of claim form and today you're thinking, oh, I didn't do a good job, or I didn't add something, or I made a mistake on my basis of claim form, please reach out to us. We will help you as to how you can change your narrative or add to it or supplement it with other stuff. Please reach out to us and do not take the basis of claim form very lightly. It has to be written chronologically, and you have to be very truthful when you are completing that form. Now, you submit the basis of claim form, you get your work permit, you have time. You don't get your hearing date immediately. Depending on which country you are from, there are different wait periods between the time you submit your narrative or your basis of claim form and the time that you're given your hearing date. Now, hearing dates are given early. The shortest time duration will be 15 days. At least 15 days before the date of your hearing, you will get your hearing date. Sometimes we get even months, 1 or 2 months we get it. And at the time of this date here, this hearing date, like when the time when your hearing date is given, we will start preparing something called as a disclosure. Now, before we go to what the disclosure is and what documents can be added to the disclosure, I'll touch very briefly on what benefits or what services you have access to while you're waiting for your hearing. You can take part in the interim federal health program. most provinces have legal aid. And of course, like we said, you get a work permit and you can continue or begin working in Canada while you're waiting on your hearing date. Now, let's go to disclosure. Again, very important. Remember, at the time of your hearing, yes, questions will be asked, you'll be narrating your experiences and everything, but your documents also talk for you. So based on whatever you've already submitted in the basis of claim form, if you have to make changes, this disclosure time is when you get to make those changes. And based on whatever you have submitted already in your narrative, it is highly recommended that you provide supporting evidence. Remember, true supporting evidence. And supporting evidence could be police reports, it could be medical letters, it could be photographs, messages. You can have affidavits or sworn witness statements, and then there could be news articles. Let's say you're running away from some happening that has become viral or it has come into the news. You can take screenshots of those articles and use that as supporting evidence as well. Now, when you are submitting supporting evidence, be very careful. I have had instances where the claimants did not even know that the evidence was made up because it came from their country. Somebody sent it to them, but it was made up. And eventually what happened is it negatively affected the claimant's claim, right? It doesn't affect anyone back home or whoever is sending it. Could be your friends or family or parents or siblings, or anybody can send it to you. But finally, it is your life that is at stake here. So be very, very careful. I cannot stress this enough. Be very careful with your documents. Be very careful with your basis of claim form. Be very careful with witness statements and sworn affidavits. At the hearing, you're also allowed to bring witnesses. So if you want to bring some family member or a friend or a member of another of another organization who is very critical to your claim, you can bring them as witnesses. It is done online. Most of these hearings are done online, so they can join the online hearing as well. But you'll have to declare the details of the witness, why they are important to your claim. You'll have to give a copy of their government issued photo ID, and all of this has to be submitted along with your disclosure documents. Disclosure documents must reach the RPD at least 10 days before the hearing, no later than 10 days before the hearing date. So there is a deadline. If you miss that deadline for whatever reason and you have a strong explanation for it, then there is something called a submission of late disclosure. There is a form, an application form, which you can fill and submit along with your late disclosures. Now, the hearing itself. Well, the hearing can be a very stressful time for many number of reasons. One being it decides your future, and the other one is the inflicted trauma. You'll have to talk about all the trauma that was inflicted on you and talk about it all over again. But remember, members of the Refugee Protection Division, they're kind, they're firm, but they're kind, and they're very careful when they ask you your questions. Most of these members that I have seen so far have always been very careful in the way they ask their questions, and they've been very kind when they speak to claimants. So you don't have to be really worried, but at the hearing, it will be you. It'll be the RPD member who will be making a decision on your application. And if you have legal counsel, which I highly recommend, then your counsel will be there with you as well. And in some cases, in very rare cases, but there have been cases, you will have a minister's counsel as well. Now, this minister's counsel is none but somebody from the CBSA. It'll be a CBSA officer who will be there at the hearing to convince a member not to give you refugee protection. So they will be against you. If your counsel is for you, the minister's counsel will be against you. And that is one of the reasons why I highly recommend having legal counsel, because when there is someone against you, there should be someone for you, speaking for you, giving legal advice, using case law in their submissions. It is very important. Now, if there is a minister's counsel who is going to be attending your hearing, you will have prior notice. A notice will be emailed to you or sent to your address. So it is very important to keep your email address, your physical address current with the RPD so that you don't miss out on any communication that is sent out to you. Now, what to expect in the hearing? The member will ask you questions. In every refugee claim, the question is about credibility. It is the duty of the member to assess whether your claim has a credible basis. And if you have a credible basis based on the questions and the way you narrate your story, then your claim will be approved. Now, if you have legal representation, the member might give them a chance to ask questions in support of your claim or make legal submissions once again in support of your claim. Normally, these hearings go anywhere between 3 to 6 hours, depending on the extent of your claim. But I have also had hearings that went as short as 40 to 50 minutes. So it all depends on your story and how your claim is presented, and also on your disclosure documents. If you submit a good disclosure, then most of your work is already done. All that you need to do after that is to narrate your story. Now, before we go to the decision, when you narrate your story, I forgot to tell you that you got to be very careful. Be chronological, be truthful, tell everything that happened. And at the hearing, you could ask for an interpreter. An interpreter is a very important part of the hearing because like most members tell us that the hearing is not an English exam. So you don't have to prove to the officer or the member that you understand English. What is important here is how beautifully your story is told, how you narrate your story. So if you feel that you can do your story or whatever happened to you better in your language, please don't be shy to ask for an interpreter. An interpreter is a very important part of your hearing. Now, if your hearing goes well and everything is good, then you get accepted and you become a protected person and you're allowed to apply for permanent residence. You can apply for yourself and your dependents outside or inside of Canada. If you get rejected, this is one of the questions I keep getting all the time. What happens if my hearing is refused or if my claim is rejected? Then there are a couple options, except when there is a decision that your claim has no credibility or it does not have any credible basis. In those cases, we cannot appeal to the RAD. The RAD is the Refugee Appeal Division. RPD is the Refugee Protection Division, the division that hears your claims, and the RAD is your Refugee Appeal Division, the division to which you can appeal. Now, you can either appeal to them if you're allowed to an appeal. Then while you get your decision, while you get your negative decision itself, you will get an RAD kit, which will help you with the appeal. If you cannot appeal, then you can go for a judicial review in the federal court. There are also some cases in which you can apply for something called as a PRA, that is a pre-removal risk assessment, or humanitarian and compassionate considerations can be done for some people, and you can apply for PR through that. Now, let's go very quickly through some of the common mistakes that you should avoid with your hearing. Inconsistent statements between the BOC and your interview. That's why I said the basis of claim, very important, the most important document. You'll have to know it by heart. It is your story, of course, so there's nothing it's nothing fancy that you have to learn. It's your story. You just have to know it. You'll have to be very consistent with your story because the member can ask you the same question in different ways. You'll have to be consistent. Never submit fake or unverifiable documents because that cuts your credibility immediately and you will not even have a chance to appeal. So please be very, very careful when you're submitting documents. Do not miss deadlines for evidence. We already spoke about it when you're submitting your disclosure. It should be done no later than 10 days before your hearing. Do not miss these deadlines. And we also spoke about address updates. Anytime you have an update in your address, either your email address or your physical address, please let the RPD know and prepare for your hearing. Even though it's your story, even though it is everything that happened to you, prepare for your hearing, go through your documents so you know what to expect. And if you have legal counsel, update them about any address changes so that they know what to expect as well. Now, we've already spoken about it. Rehearse your story clearly and chronologically, gather all supporting evidence, seek legal representation, and know country conditions relevant to your claim. It's very important to know about your country and how the conditions in your country can support your claim. It could be police protection, it could be gender-based violence, anything. You have to know your country conditions whenever you're submitting your claim. Now, your rights. You have right to legal representation. You have right to interpretation services. You have the right to present your evidence. And if eligible, you have the right to appeal. These are your rights as a refugee claimant in Canada. But at the same time, you also have responsibilities. You have the responsibility to be truthful in all statements. You have the responsibility to attend all your appointments and hearings, because when you don't attend your hearing or appointments, then it is called an abandoned claim and you're never allowed to reapply. So be very careful with that. And you have the responsibility to update your address or contact details to the RPD. After a positive decision, you can apply for permanent residence, you can include your spouse or children, and you can continue to obtain another renewal of your work permit while you're waiting on the decision of your PR, and you can begin settling and integrating into a life in Canada. Okay, and how you can settle and integrate into the Canadian life, you can take help from Legal Aid Alberta. You can go to Catholic Social Services, which helps with settlement of newcomers. Then there's something called as the EMCN, which is the Edmonton Mennonite Center for Newcomers. If you're in Edmonton, there is the Refugee Sponsorship Training Program. You get health services via the IFHP, and then you can also go to your legal counsel and ask them if there's anything. If you need any further help, you can always reach out to legal counsel. So we've gone through most of these requirements for the process. If you have any questions, this is the time for you to place it in the chat box, and as much as I can, I will help answering those.
Hello.
Someone has a question, so we'll just wait. We can't hear you.
Hello.
The attendee who's asking us
Hello.
a question, I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Can we have the question on the screen if it's on the chat, please?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sorry, just give us a minute as we get technicality sorted out.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
All right, let's see what the question is. I have been in Canada for 4.5 months. Can I seek or claim asylum? Now, Louise, I don't know your story. Okay, I don't know your story. If you have a credible basis for your story, and if you've been persecuted in your country, and if there is something that has gone wrong and you cannot go back to your country because of fear for your life for whatever reason, then yes, please reach out to us and we can help you with this process. Yes, you can. We have another question. How long does a typical refugee claim process take from start to finish? So, if you ask me from the time you submit your basis of claim form till your hearing and its approval, I would say, as much as I have seen in my experience, it depends on your country, from the country of your citizenship. There are some countries where we've done it within a year, 1 year, or 1 year and 2 months, but I have also seen some of my clients who wait for 2 or 3 years in total for the entire process to finish. But yeah, it is very specific to your country of citizenship. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free to ask me. The first two questions that we got, if you do have other follow-up questions, please let me know. I would love to know the best way to seek an asylum. Um, that's what we just spoke about. Like, what is the process? We can do it from inside, how you do it from inside, how you can submit a basis of claim. Now, if you have a danger for your life, remember this process is specifically for those people who are facing persecution in their country. They cannot go back because of whatever threat to their life or whatever danger that they're facing in their country. For those people, this process is reserved. And if you have a story like that, come meet us and we will help you. Do I need to claim the asylum at the port of entry, or do I need to enter the city? You can do both. If you listen to the beginning of our presentation today, I said that we can either claim asylum at the port of entry or from inside Canada. At the port of entry, if you're coming through the airport or through a land border, you can speak to a CBSA officer at the port of entry and claim asylum. And from there, you will have time to submit your basis of claim. But if you're already inside Canada, we can still do it through the IRCC office. What kind of support services are available for refugees during the waiting period? We just did that in the course of our webinar. Probably you'll have to watch the webinar again. We will have it on our website. We'll be posting this on our website, so you can go to our website. And I have touched on this exact question has been touched during the webinar. All right, I have a case. While I will contact you for deep insight, I'm married. This is a very specific question. Okay, it is very specific to someone's case. And unless I'm authorized to give advice or provide representation, it is not allowed. It is not legally advisable for me to do that. So if you want any advice on your specific case, your specific condition, please come to our office, book an appointment with me, and I'll be happy to discuss your case and help you in whatever way I can. But unfortunately, the laws do not allow me to give you any specific advice because we don't have a service or a contract agreement which allows me to give you legal representation. How many years will it take before I can go for hearing? Like I said again, it depends on the country of your citizenship. I was just explaining that for some of my clients, we have completed it within 12 to 14 months, whereas there are some of my clients who are waiting for 3 years. So from some of the war-torn countries, it takes longer, probably because there is a long line of people waiting. So it depends on the country that you are from. How much time you have to claim after you enter Canada? If you're at risk for persecution in your country and if you've run out for your life, as soon as you come to Canada or at the earliest that you can, you have to claim refugee protection. There are new rules that are coming out that if you've been here for a year or whatever, you cannot claim refugee protection anymore. So be very careful. If you know that you cannot go back to your country because of XYZ reasons, remember Canada is a very safe country. So the moment you enter here, apply for asylum. If someone doesn't have full documentation from their home country, how can they strengthen their case? If you don't have documents, that's a very good question. If you don't have documents, like if you don't have supporting documents or pictures or medical reports or whatever, there are other ways you can strengthen your case in terms of your story, your narrative. You can add supplement information with your narrative. There are other documents you can add. And that is why it is important for you to have legal counsel, because then they can tell you what are the other ways you can strengthen your application. So normally if someone comes to us and we're doing a refugee claim for someone, we also give them mock interviews. We give them questions and mock interviews so that they prep themselves for the hearing and they know exactly what is to be given. And while submitting disclosure documents, if they don't have full documentation, then there are other supplemental evidence that we provide. We don't make evidence, do not submit fake evidence, but there are supplemental evidence from national documentation packages that we can provide, which is very much allowed by the RPD. And if you come and meet us, I can give you more information, because this is going to be very specific to your case or the country that you're from, what your situation is, but we can definitely help. I think we can take one or two more questions. What kind of assistance is available or employment for newly arrived refugees? That is why, if you saw the beginning of the presentation, I said I quoted some places that you can go to. You can watch this presentation again on our website. There are some places that we said you can go to, and their work is to provide support for newcomers to Canada, whether it is refugees or permanent residents, whoever it is. You can go to them and they will support you. I think we can take one more last question if anybody has a question. If your agency can help me, do I need to route my ticket to Edmonton or Alberta? If you're in Canada, you're coming to Canada, you're in Canada, and you want us to help you, you don't have to be in Edmonton or Alberta, because we do help people from all over Canada. So you can just book an online appointment with us, just to reach out to my office. They'll give you a Google Meet appointment, and we can meet you online, and we can still work with you even if you're not in Edmonton, Alberta, because it's not necessary that we only work with people from Edmonton. We work with people from all around the world, and we have different ways that we can do it. So the answer to you is no, you don't have to come here. You can be anywhere and we can still help you. So this brings us to the end of our presentation today, and it has been a wonderful time. I hope that at least a few questions I was able to answer. I'm very sorry we cannot go into details of specific cases, because that is not allowed. So if you want any specific details pertaining to your case, please feel free to book an appointment with my office and I'll be happy to help you. For those of you who missed the first part of the presentation, please go to our website. You can see our website URL now on the screen. You have our phone number, our email address, and our physical location. So if you want to reach out to us, please feel free to reach out to us. For those of you who asked me questions about supports that are required, that are available for refugees and those sort of questions, please go back to this recording. I did talk about it in the beginning of our webinar today and told you there are also the names of places where you can go to get support for your job or legal requirements or whatever. So you can watch this recording once again. For those of you who want more consultation on your specific case, please reach out to the number that is right now on your screen. You can book an appointment with me and I'll be happy to sit with you and go through your case and help you as to how you can make it better. For those of you who want us as legal counsel for your hearing, please reach out to us. We've been pretty successful with refugee hearing cases and we've had a good run with that. So I'm pretty much sure that I'll be able to help and assist you in the best way possible. But until then, wish you the very best. And I hope that you can make Canada your home and be safe and secure as you continue to live in Canada. Have a wonderful day, everyone.